It's that time again for the assault on your ears we call Lore Dorks, a Star Trek Lower Decks podcast. Tonight on our screens is the finale of Season 3, The Stars Are Right.
Actually, it's The Stars at Night.
So no Cthulhu?
No.
Aww.
There are evil robots, though, if that helps.
Yay!
Can I just talk about the drink?
Sorry, yes.
Thank you. We are drinking a Paloma cocktail. That is tequila, lime juice, grapefruit soda or juice with a salted rim, if you want to do it that way. I actually took the easy way out, and instead of making my own cocktail, I got a canned one because they exist. But you know what? I don't really have any regrets. It's actually quite tasty. It's tastier than I expected, probably because the juice makes it a little bit sweet. I don't know. How's your mixed cocktail? I assume you did the highbrow version and mixed it yourself.
The highbrow version. The minimum effort version, you mean? You know, it's not bad. I'm not a big fan of grapefruit juice, so, you know, that's not really in it for me, but everything else works.
That's good. You know, it's funny, we picked the street because it seemed Texan, and I did a little bit of research, and it seems like it could be Mexican as well, or instead, but you know what? We're already drinking it. It's tasty and delicious, so either way, I think it works. Texas
is basically Mexico's petulant teenage child, so...
I think you're right there. Well, let's talk about the episode, because I feel like, you know, I have a feeling we're going to go long on this one. So, The Stars at Night. The return of Admiral Buenamigo, your favorite admiral, I think, shows him to not be such a good friend after all when he dumps Captain Freeman in favor of his pet project, the Texas class. But in the end, Mariner brings it all together with the California Ex Machina.
Yeah, you know what? I think everybody saw this coming. Like, everybody knew this was going to be the end of the season.
Oh, yeah.
I still think it worked really well.
Yeah, totally. I love this episode. We can talk more about it, but there's a lot of things to cover. But let's talk about the episode title first. In case you didn't know, or in case you're uncultured like I am, the name of this episode comes from an old popular song. It's Gene Autry's Deep in the Heart of Texas.
Oh my god, are you serious right now? Stavros, you uncultured fuck. Jesus.
Yes, I know. But you know what? Now I know, and that's the important. That's the thing Lower Decks is teaching us is how to appreciate really old music.
Is all that I can think of whenever I hear this song is that horrible Pee Wee Herman scene where he's in the phone booth on his way to the Alamo, and so he sings like the first 3 lines, and then all the passersby stop to sing the refrain. It's good. You gotta watch it. Pee Wee Herman, great movies. Can't recommend them enough.
Yeah. Yes, that's why we're here, to recommend 30-year-old TV specials.
Wow, dude. Anyway. Just trash on everything I have to say.
Hey, that's why I'm here, okay? Just to help you. One thing about the opening shot, though, while we're talking about the episode title and the beginning of the episode here, Douglas Station, we've seen this station pop up again and again in this show.
I feel like it's kind of their home base, you know? Because they always go back to it, you know?
Yeah. The funny part is, though, you know, it shows in the exterior shot, it shows all of these ships, like, around it again, and they are nowhere to be seen in the fight scene that comes later.
Yeah, you know
they're just like, we're out of here.
Think about that. There's just a bunch of ships hanging out, and, like, some of them look like they could be, like, Starfleet vessels, but when the fight comes, they're just like, nope.
Goodbye.
I feel like these are the people who aren't good enough to get the Cerritos class. The crew is all like, Captain, there's a fight breaking out at Douglas Station. And they're all like, how long till we reach the station? Sir, we're 2 seconds away. Okay, get us out to 10 and then let me know what's happening.
Yes, I feel like they're probably not equipped to take on the Texas class anyways.
Oh, yeah.
We'll talk about that fight come later.
Indeed.
These are these ships that I feel, you know, we've talked about them before in our ships episodes. They're kind of like strangely low poly, and I, you know, probably wouldn't look good up close anyway, so no accident that they don't show up in the battle later.
Yes.
But let's talk about Mariner's stuff first. So as you recall, Mariner is off doing her, you know, archaeology, who's a what's-its with Petra Aberdeen in that ship, the Free Spirit. There's that shot with her stealing that gold Indiana Jones-esque idol from
only in this
Ferengi.
case, it's a Klingon. But here's the weird thing.
That's right.
So I gotta mention this. So when she's making her escape, she's got the Klingon idol. She's running away from the Ferengi, and she swings over that chasm pitfall style, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, in the background, there's a giant statue.
Yes, I saw it.
Giant statue is this weird three-eyed, bat-winged alien with a proboscis? Have we ever seen anything like this before? I feel like no.
I don't think so. Maybe somebody else can tell us that we're wrong, but I couldn't place it when I looked at it. It looked a little bit too... Yeah, definitely not something... I don't think it's something we've seen before.
Yeah.
But it was fun to see. It comes out that, Admiral Picard is funding these archaeological gray ops where they go and...
Why is Petra so cagey about this? Right?
I don't know.
Even if she didn't want to give full details, she could have just been like, "Oh, we're funded by a Starfleet admiral who's really into archaeology." Why create? And I do got to give them credit though. At least they resolved the unnecessary drama in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
But this is supposed to be the big motivator for Mariner to go back to Starfleet. But it's kind of what happened to character growth? She's nobody trusted her, and the first thing she does is not trust anybody else. Man, this comedy cartoon show has way too little continuity.
Yeah, I know. I'm still hung up on so they're taking artifacts away from these black market dealers, but they're doing it by going to the tombs that the black market dealers are set up in, or are they intercepting the black market guys as they're stealing from tombs, or what's going on exactly?
I don't know. I think they probably do a little bit of both,
They intercepted these Ferengi and
because they mentioned they're gonna stop by the whatever expanse that the Cerritos had previously surveyed, and they were gonna do some digging up ancient ruins or ancient archaeological sites. So, clearly they're doing, just normal archaeology stuff, and they're doing the Indiana Jones-style archaeology.
Yeah. Kind of funny. I wonder how Admiral Picard is funding these ops with some kind of currency. He must have some kind of, money-generating operation somewhere. That vineyard is earning its keep. He's funding archaeological digs.
I don't think he really has any money. I think he's just using connections, right?
Oh, okay.
Or he knows people at star bases, and then they just will stop in. There's probably, a Starfleet outpost on that planet, and they'll stop by, and the engineers will do some repairs for him because Admiral Picard said so.
Okay, yeah, I could see that being a form of currency.
Nobody checks the books to make sure that they're not using resources inappropriately.
There you go. A fun little detail during these scenes when Petra she forgets her punch card for slushies, and she comes back and picks up the punch card. There, you could actually make out the details. It's a little card she picks up that has a slushie on it that says free. I was like, wow, they actually made the effort to make a little punch card for her to come back and pick up.
I didn't even notice that. That is amazing.
Yeah, I didn't notice until my second watch through, but she definitely comes and picks up this little card. You can see all the details. But one thing, the biggest thing about this plot that we kind of touched on already, and we talked about it last episode too, how it sucked that all of Mariner's friends were I guess, it sounds like you probably did do those things. And they completely addressed that in this episode, which was freaking great.
Yeah, they Everyone don't hand wave it. That's something, even actual dramas do. Just hand wave people's past bad behavior.
Yeah, and they all take responsibility for it, so...
Except Jen. We never see Jen again, because she probably killed herself.
She's in the shot in the, what do you call it? The little mess hall type place where everyone's having drinks at the end there. Jen sees her come in, but doesn't say anything. But I'm still salty at Jen.
Probably feels like too much of an Andorian trash bag to say anything.
Probably because she is an Andorian trash bag. Unless I see some kind of heartfelt apology, I think I'm still upset about that.
Yeah.
But if she does come back, one might say a little bit too easily, but you know what? Like you said, the plot doesn't really get hung up on it because there are cooler things to do in this episode. But she does come back. Do you feel like it was too easy?
No, not at all. They have to reset the status quo, and they did that nicely in this episode. Mm-hmm. Some cool things that came out of that storyline that I liked. Did you notice Petra's gun?
Yes, it was phaser-like. Was that from something?
It was like the old Dustbuster phasers, but like had a different hood on the end.
Right.
I don't know.
Different muzzle.
I feel like it's probably, some discarded phaser that somebody found, and that is their repair job they did on it.
It fits the feel of the ship, too, right? The ship feels cobbled together, the phaser feels cobbled together.
Yeah.
Kind of a neat little theme.
I definitely like the... I don't know why. I like that gun design. I like the ship design. It's all very cool.
Yeah, definitely. Let's talk about your best friend, Admiral Buenamigo, who is more of a Malamigo.
Not my best friend. I mean, oh no, Admiral Buenamigo, curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal. Who didn't see this coming? And you know what?
No.
I had mentioned that it was possible he was a Section 31 guy.
Yeah.
Turns out I was correct.
And you turned out to be right.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. It's funny that he explains why he went bad, and he goes like, once you become an admiral, you hit a wall.
But you started on this path before you became an admiral. Look at the flashback. You're not an admiral.
Yeah, you're totally right about
liar.
that. But it's his explanation did make me think of that guy O'Connor from the Moist Vessel episode, the guy who eventually ascends, and he needs something to set him apart from the rest of Starfleet. At least his doesn't involve murdering innocent people, but it makes me think in this utopian society, everyone can be in Starfleet, but you know what? You need to be set apart. You need to. Not everyone can be a Picard.
A lot of people who do analysis on the whole Starfleet or Star Trek Federation, especially Earth ideology. There's no more scarcity. There's no longer limited resources, and everybody points out, well, there's always going to be limited scarcity, right? There's always going to be things that there's only so many of. There's only so many Starfleet vessels, only so many captain slots, only so many admiral slots, only so many beachfront condos, only so many Lagrange Point vacation homes. I just, I don't know. I'm not here to do an in-depth analysis. I've already had too much to drink for that. But I do like that this episode kind of points out that just because there's no basic needs scarcity, there's still scarcity in wants.
Yeah, 100%. It's interesting. It's not something that the rest of Star Trek has really talked about that much, but you think it's got to be a problem in some way. It's
weird that they introduced such a great motivation, and it's all played for laughs. It's a big comedy bit, and it's hilarious.
Oh yeah, of course.
Especially he does this whole evil laugh thing.
Yeah, that was quite over the top. That was right up there with the Boimler evil laugh, the William Boimler.
There's
evil
no
laugh.
he hasn't gone full evil, straight up it tries to murder people, but at least they delve into the motivations, right? And I really was surprised by that.
Yeah, 100%. Kind of bites him in the ass, almost immediately, jumping out of the plot a little bit.
That death scene is brutal, man.
I feel like it almost shows, you can almost see the flesh melting off the bones with the getting phasered.
And I love when they cut up to the exterior, and it's the Aledo just shooting through that extruded section of the starbase.
Yeah,
I love that
cool.
scene. It always reminds me of in Star Trek Voyager. There's an episode where they try and get the Trabe and the Kazon together to negotiate peace, and the Trabe betray Starfleet. They shoot up the meeting. I remember the first time that showed, and it was just you had never seen anything like that in Star Trek up to that point. It was just an amazing scene, and it's sad. I would have loved to have seen this style scene in live action. It's not quite the same when it's animated.
Still cool to see, though. Definitely you can see the production value increases.
Yeah.
But we do get a lot of the backstory about, how Admiral Buenamigo set up the Cerritos. The opening shots at Starfleet headquarters. They kind of neat. The animated version is pulled right from how Starfleet HQ looks in a DS9 episode called Homefront. The conference room is right from Star Trek 6. If you recall, where Kirk and Spock are talking to the rest of the Admiralty. Pretty cool.
Right down to the weird light fixture things.
Yeah. Yeah, the desk light fixtures.
I was a little disappointed because we saw, outtakes from this episode, whereas, from the back of the gray-haired Admiral, I had suspected that was going to be Janeway. Turns out I was wrong. Nope. I wonder if that was originally the plan, and at the last minute they couldn't get her or something. I don't know. Or,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, it could have easily been, I guess.
Maybe
But you know what? The logic used by the Admiralty here kind of sucked in general.
makes no sense. I also want to comment on something. So let me get this straight. Long before any of the Star Trek series ever happens, a few genetically engineered mad dictators F up the Earth, and the Federation bans genetic engineering in perpetuity, even when it would be a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Even when it would help people.
Yep.
But every other week, they run into evil machines. And Starfleet
No one
never
wants
says,
to outlaw that.
you know, maybe we should put limits on thinking machines. Jesus Christ, Starfleet. Or at least do some sort of auditing. Like, if Rutherford could figure out this thing was going to go evil, maybe anybody who actually looked at the code could, or, like, ran a simulation on it. Jesus Christ, Starfleet. I'm starting to think the Zot Vash were right. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Yeah, there's got to be a pro AI lobby that is, you know, in the Federation Council that's getting these politicians on their side, and you know, we depend on, you know, automation to keep our economy running, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, but there's like a level of automation, you know, maybe your holodeck shouldn't be able to make sentient evil beings. Like maybe there should be like some sort of check in the system. Like, you know, right now we have checks that say, are you a robot? And you have to click no. Maybe on the holodeck it should have a check, are you attempting to create an evil AI? No.
Well, no one's trying to create an evil AI. That's part of the problem. But yeah, the whole Admiralty calling Project Swingby a failure, you know, just because the Cerritos crew is garbage to one another doesn't mean that like the plan wasn't good.
But here's the weird
thing. That was kind
of
a strange logic leap.
Yeah, the whole logical leap there was you were just unprepared to fight 3 Breen warships.
Yeah.
Didn't like a handful of Breen warships completely F up the entire Federation fleet during the Dominion War? Like, how short term are these people's memories?
Very much so. One thing I do know about Buenamigo, though, is that man should never design uniforms. He's too many epaulets.
You know what? I realized I couldn't figure out what was going on in that picture until you just explained it. It had extra epaulets all over it.
Yes.
I will give him credit.
The fleet captain epaulets.
Yeah, he does try to help out his longtime friend. I don't know what their relationship is, by giving her a spot as, you know, the fleet captain. Although I don't know whether that was I need to shut this person up, or whether it was a, hey, I may be evil, but that doesn't mean I am completely evil. I don't know what the evil but not. I don't know. He
flies off the rational handle almost immediately once he gets found out. So I'm not sure.
I mean, that's how it always goes. You know, evil admiral being evil. Like that's Starfleet Admiral 101.
That's right.
Can't we just get one admiral? Oh, we did have one admiral that didn't turn evil. Nechayev.
She's just a hole to people, and that's
put it. Picard in his place.
That's right. Somebody had to. Oh, we do see more of the Texas class ships here. Hilariously, did you notice that the Alito AI voice has the same accent as Admiral Buenamigo?
I did not notice that. And
I'm pretty sure. It's like spoken in a robotic voice, but it still has like the heavy like Latino accent going on.
Okay, have we moved on to where we're talking about the Texas classes now?
Yes.
Okay. So, what the F? Is the Alito just carrying around big-ass modules in its cargo bays? Or is it, like, carrying around parts that it assembles and transport? Or, like, is it actually just, like, replicating them on the spot? Like, I have so many questions.
Because they're small ships.
Yeah.
They seem small.
Yeah, they're not that small. But, yeah, like, they shouldn't have room for all of these things. An entire outpost they just beam down.
Yeah.
Like, and if this tech exists, why isn't it on board the Cerritos already? You know?
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense.
I'm sure they would explain it away as, you know, you don't need living quarters, etc. on board these automated ships. So you got lots of... It's the whole ship is cargo space.
Yeah. And, of course, then the other question is, like, how powerful is this ship? I get that it doesn't have, like, a crew, but, like, most Starfleet ships have a very low crew to, you know, ship mass ratio. So, like, I mean, just one of these things took on a sovereign class. I mean,
Right.
you know, they were making short work of that starbase. How powerful are these things? You know, why aren't they already making more of these just, you know, without a computer at the helm?
Yeah, I don't know. I love how we get the close-up look of the, like, cluster torpedo launcher and, like, the torpedo that becomes the multi-torpedo, whatever you call those things.
Yes, I love the pop-up torpedo launchers, which is really cool for, like, a design aesthetic thing, because, like, we were just talking previously about seeing the Cerritos actually use its top-mounted torpedo launchers.
Yes.
And now this thing has that same style of torpedo launcher, but they pop up from within the hull. Very, very neat.
Right. It was super cool to see. There's something like the MIRV, the MIRV torpedoes, like something that exists in the real world, but you almost never see in Star Trek. So it's kind of neat to see see something like that pop up.
I definitely enjoyed. Like, the ship has definitely grown on me. The 3 deflector thing still kind of bothers me, but
yeah, what's going on there? They're just like lights that turn red when they're evil.
Yeah, I don't know why they have 3 deflectors.
You know, when you don't have a crew, you just throw on 16 torpedo launchers and 3 deflectors, and
maybe it's like a redundancy thing, you know?
Yeah, it could be.
I don't know.
Maybe it's to support the computer. I don't know. Somebody's gonna have to ask. You recall when the lower deckers find out about the California class, like the plan to get the California class shelved?
So, did you catch on the chain of events of the rumor mill?
Yes.
So, it was a Philosian, which apparently, like, the Philosians were the super advanced plant people from the animated series, right?
Right. Uh-huh.
Like, why is one of them in Starfleet? And if they're in Starfleet, why are they serving on a Cali class? But more than that, it appears that the super advanced plant man is dating somebody who worships the prophets. So I'm assuming she's a Bajoran, but who knows? Maybe plant people get weird religions going on. Because it was their Vedic that started this whole chain of commands. Why does a Bajoran holy figure have anything to do with secret Starfleet operations? Why do they know? It doesn't make any sense. Because, you know, if there had not been a previous episode where you had seen that Kira was still in service, I would have assumed it was her, right?
Yeah.
But nope, it's not her. So who is it? Nope. I mean,
some guy.
Why do they know? It doesn't make any sense. This whole chain of events doesn't make any sense. But I mean, ultimately, at the conclusion, the final step in the rumor mill is a fantastic reveal.
Yes, Towel Guy. We just talked about him last episode. He's popping up every time in the lower decks area. His name is Hans, although I assume that's his first name. You don't know what his last name is.
Well, I think it's Towel Guy. Right? He was Hans Towel Guy.
They call him Towel Guy in universe. It's just...
But that means that the reason we're always seeing him wearing a towel in the background is because that's just what he does. He just always wears the towel.
It's like a religious exemption type situation, maybe.
Well, I would assume when he's on duty, he puts on a uniform. But I'm betting that when he gets off duty, it's just Towel City, you know? It's the whole home is where the pants aren't thing.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, nobody can do anything because there's communal quarters and the hallways there. Yeah. Makes sense.
No, it doesn't.
I just love that we have the Towel Guy reference and we have a name for him. So anytime that I see him walking around a towel, I can get upset at Hans. I love it. Let's talk about Boimler / Jack Quaid's imitation of the other characters / cast members. Because he does voices of, Ransom and Dr. Ta'ana and Shaxs, of course. And that was like spot on impressions. I was very impressed.
Just really solid. And you know what? I mean, it's got to be tough to do like a voice, right? Doing a character imitating another character, right?
Oh yeah.
I can't imagine that's easy.
Not at all. That was amazing. That was the amazing part.
Oh my god, yeah. And then he makes Shaxs cry. It's so sad.
I know, that was so sad. Shaxs is feeling so easily hurt.
Yep.
Of course, there's a redemption that happens later, which we're going to talk about in a bit.
Oh boy, yeah,
that poor buddy.
That, final fight.
Yeah, but poor Shaxs, man. Boimler's got to stop having his back facing the entrance into.
When he's talking trash. You know what though? I don't know. I always love it when people make fun of my mannerisms. So I think Shaxs just needs to grow a sense of humor.
Yeah, maybe that's it. The prophets need to educate him about being funny. So.
Oh my god, did you catch Boimler's line? I talk about prophets more than Ferengi. Oh my god! Like, so funny. It's such
That
a
was
great
solid.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Good job, Boimler. Well done. About that though, so Shaxs is like coming down to the repair bay because he has a phaser problem.
Yeah.
So is that just like a thing you do? Like you don't take it to the armory, you take it to the repair bay?
Well, I mean, unless he's looking for like somebody specific, you know, like he's got his friends who he likes to have help with his weapons, you know.
Right.
It's like, it's my personal weapon. I don't want anybody touching it but someone I trust.
Oh, he doesn't trust his like own guys in the armory. He's got to come down to Baby Bear.
No, I mean, I think he's got a guy. What do the guys in the armory, like, he's running the security guys, right? The tactical guys?
Right.
He's not
Yeah.
running the maintenance guys.
Yeah, so I guess that's my question. Like, wouldn't security do their own maintenance on their weapons, or they got to come down to the
I think
repair
they
bay?
would know basic maintenance, but I'm willing to bet that there's probably an engineering thing.
Yeah, but I guess that makes sense. You got to go to the repair bay to get repairs.
Well, they're not really a military force, right? So, I don't know. It's kind of like how, you know, in like a modern military, the guns are all stored in the armory. But you know what? Those are just...
Yeah.
Oh, man, it doesn't make any sense. Let's not think about it too hard.
What, you don't want logical consistency in your animated comedy show?
Hey, you know what? Get right out of here with using my own words against me.
Oh, that's great. Let's move on to the challenge between the Cerritos and the Texas class ship. You know, as you may recall, it's, you know, who can surpass these challenges first. I loved the everyone getting ready on these Cerritos shots. They kind of like bounce between a couple different departments.
All right, I gotta talk about my boy. I know it's the wrong order of operations, but I can't not talk about this.
Yes, let's do it.
Ransom teaching the Riker maneuver is
Yes,
fantastic.
so good. It's so good. Like, apparently, that's a legit command maneuver.
Yeah,
you know?
and his whole explaining, command the chair. That is what he says. Command the chair.
That's
Oh my
amazing.
god.
You know what's funny? I do love that they show the, you know, in comparison to like Dr. Tahana and Sickbay, they show Ransom giving this pep talk to the command division people. But it's weird because you never really see the command division like grouping. They're all, I don't know, they're kind of, they never really group together for any reason. But in Star Trek that we've seen, right? It's you see engineering with engineers. You see, you know, the science lab with scientists and, you know, sickbay with the doctors and nurses. But you never really see the collection of command division people that aren't like the captain and first officer. It's
That's
kind
a
of
good
neat to
point.
see it.
You never really see them together doing anything. Like, and you would think like there would be regular like command meetings beyond like the captain and first officer. You frequently see together, but other than that,
Right.
you don't really see it. I think that's a really good call. I never noticed that.
This is like opening up all kinds of like cans of worms here. Like, what do command division people do? Like, does engineering need someone from the command division who's like the manager? But not really, right? There's no one in red uniforms in engineering. So, like, what are these guys doing normally? Like, what's Jen's job?
Yeah, you know, that's a good question, especially for like the lower deckers and stuff. Like,
Like, what do they do that's
I mean,
command?
I've got to assume they do some sort of like performance or data analysis. They probably are like in charge. Like, you know, you've got the commander setting duty shifts, right? But like
Right.
day of, like shit comes up where you got to get like last minute coverage. I bet there's
Right.
people that are just like, okay, this is your division and this is your division and this is your division. And when weird stuff comes up, they just like, okay, I got to deal with this. You know, I got to get coverage because, you know, Steve Buscemi down in Astrometrics Lab 7 stubbed his toe and now I need coverage. Or stuff like that. Or like setting like, if you have like an away mission, they didn't really show this. They only show it every once in a blue moon where they do like mass beam downs where there's like
Right.
a lot of crew planet side. I bet
Yeah.
they do a lot of like the oversight and the inventory stuff.
Yeah.
That like
They
the
show it
higher-
even here where like Ransom is down and they're installing the outpost and Ransom's like, you know, directing people and stuff.
Yeah.
So it does happen, but like I'm talking about, you know, the command division people who aren't the captain or first officer. Like, what are those guys doing?
Well, that's what
Like,
I'm
what's their
saying,
job?
right? Like the first officer
Yeah.
isn't going to be worrying about every little minute detail, right?
Right.
You know, somebody gets injured down in, you know, maintenance bay 3 and the project can't go forward without 4 engineers. It's probably on whoever that command officer is to, figure it out.
Sure. Okay. I can see that.
And there's probably
I want to see more.
There's probably a lot of little projects where it's all like, okay, this project is going to need an engineer and a astrometrics officer and a doctor, and okay, well, if we're going to have, a cross-departmental group, then we'll throw a command person in there just to handle any sort of, interdepartmental conflicts or planning that need to happen.
Makes sense.
Wow, we've way overanalyzed this. We need to move on.
We've analyzed it the perfect amount.
No. We talked about this way too much. Although, who comes back in that scene? Who we see again?
Who? Oh, Casey.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
That's immediately what I was thinking about. I assumed he was dead. I mean, hoped. Hoped is the word I'm looking for.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't appear on the bridge much anymore, and, he's an a-hole anyway, so who cares? Let's talk about the race is ongoing between the Cerritos and its opponent. And the Cerritos is ahead, but then something happens where the Cerritos needs to perform an analysis because they think that microbial life could possibly be sentient. I'm going to give props to your boy Ransom here, where Tendi reports to him that something's wrong, and he immediately, there's no humming and hawing. He just says, what? And she explains it, and then he immediately says, stop everything. I thought that was a great character rebuilding moment for Ransom, who's had a tough season.
That is core character. I mean, ignoring the assassination moments from this season are not so far out of character for Ransom. This is Ransom to the core. He realizes there's a problem where he's got to make a decision, and he chooses the Starfleet way.
Props to him. He's getting ahead of these assassination attempts from this season. So
I love the fact though that this whole scene is the Cerritos crew at their best, because it's this is important.
The
things
stuff
are
they do. Yeah.
The only weird thing is it's kind of selfish, right? They're not this way every time a problem comes up.
Oh no.
But when it's oh no, I could lose my job, I better take this seriously. But it's oh no, there's an entire alien civilization counting on us to keep them alive. They're maybe I'll screw around a little bit.
Yeah. Maybe Marin will hand out some crayons. And,
not a good look, Cerritos crew. I do love how, throughout all of these scenes, Rutherford has steadily growing suspicion. And, his just distractedness is played up through the whole thing. Very well put together. If this was an actual episode of a live-action, non-comedy show, I would have definitely rated this one A+.
It was good. I love that element. I mean, if we're talking about Rutherford, man, I mean, we've got the conspiracy coming to fruition that we kind of talked about already.
Yep.
Did you predict Buenamigo then, or?
So I actually assumed it was going to be Admiral Freeman.
Oh, right.
But I thought it might have been Buenamigo too, just because they introduced him. So I didn't know if he was going to become the new Admiral contact to replace Freeman after Freeman gets found out, or whether he was going to turn bad.
Obviously bad.
Or maybe it's going to turn out they're all bad. I don't know. Still time.
Literally every single Admiral turned out to be bad. It's it's kind of like the red shirt that gets lines. That guy's going to die. If you get to know an Admiral well, he's turning bad.
Unless it's Nechayev. True Blue Starfleet Nechayev. The Admiral of my heart.
Yeah. If they're too much of an a-hole, then they're not turning bad. They're just an a-hole. So
I don't know. We've seen plenty of a-hole admirals turn bad. I think you're making conclusions that are not in evidence. Thank you.
I love how Rutherford decides to keep the implant, even though he has that dark moment where it's it's caused me to lose my memories and hurt people. But it's freaking cool.
This scene reminds me so much of the Shaxs returning from the dead scene.
In what way?
Well, it's that whole, he goes from, Shaxs reveals to him in that episode, I think, is it Strange Energies that happens, where Shaxs comes back from the dead?
I think so, because it's the first episode, right? of season 2 or 1 or 2?
But there's this moment where they ask him, and he's all he revealed dark things, and it's so horrible, and then immediately goes back to being cheerful and happy.
Yeah.
It's just that swing.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have we seen the end of this conspiracy then? Like, we've seen how far it stretches, and...
I don't know. Maybe I just... I don't know.
Is there more here?
No, there's going to be more. Tell. There's going to be more because Badgie's coming back. Oh, spoilers.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Let's talk about that now. Let's talk about Badgie and the and you know what's going on with the fight here.
Oh, so we're getting to the final fight?
Yes.
Ooh, I will say one thing. Captain Freeman's "I need warp now" line way better than warp me. Way better.
What is like maximum warp me or something?
Oh yes, she says that too. Maximum warp me and "I need warp now." Both fantastic lines. Although I think "I need warp now" is better.
You know, I feel like I've hated on warp me in the past, but maximum warp me does sound pretty cool. I have to admit.
Actually, you know what? Maximum warp me sounds like, I don't know. It sounds wrong. It sounds dirty in some way, and I just don't know what it is.
Maybe.
Yeah. So, okay, AI with daddy issues. We're on to that.
Yes. Trouble processing emotions. Yeah,
yes.
That's a problem.
I love the fact that that is how Rutherford identifies his AIs.
Obviously, I mean, you know, that's the hallmark. That's the Badgie hallmark. He has daddy issues.
And so does this AI. I really hope we get more Rutherford AIs, and they team up somewhere down the road, and we get just this great, daddy issue AI team up. Oh my god!
I feel like they're setting that up anyway with Peanut Hamper and Agnes. And so Badgie escaped here somehow. You know, his code got out there somehow. You know, it's going to come back in.
Oh yeah,
the end of season 4 probably
somewhere.
Let's back up a little bit and talk more about how this fight goes down. The Sovereign class that shows up, by the way, they name it the Van Sitters. That's actually the name of this fairly active dude from Paramount that's on Twitter that goes to a lot of the conventions and stuff. He's the VP of Star Trek brand development. So not a surprise. Kind of a little like boss kiss up going on there or something. Being naming that ship after that guy.
Could be.
But if you recall, there's this chase sequence where the Cerritos says, hey, we got Rutherford, come chase us.
That scene when they're like, hey, we got Rutherford, he can stop you. And it, goes to Rutherford and he tells Aledo, and he's all like, yeah, you're Dunzel, which is funny because in the original M5 episode where they install the M5 computer on the Starfleet vessels, right, Kirk was referred to as Captain Dunzel.
Oh,
in that episode,
I didn't put that together.
Yeah, and it killed me because I've heard it a million times in my life, and I've never known where it came from. Because I know a lot of people who say this, right? And it's like it's from the original series. I never put that togetger.
Neat.
Until this one, and I think it was seeing it spelled out allowed me to search for it and actually find the original reference.
Yeah, that would help. But the chase ensues, and so I'm getting all bent out of shape. And even my wife even brought this up when we were watching this episode together. So she's like, "Do phasers work at warp then?" And I'm like, "I don't know because it's inconsistent as hell in Star Trek."
It is, I know, right? Sometimes it does. You know what though? My favorite quote from all of Star Trek is, "Warp flight, no left or right," and it's Paris that says it in Voyager, and this shit happens all the time, where you're just like. Man, is there no overarching tech Bible? Get somebody who knows your tech. I don't like going from one episode where something's possible to another episode where it's not.
Yeah.
But you know what? Phasers have to work at warp, and because we have seen constantly people getting knocked out of warp by people firing phasers at them, right?
Yes, especially in Voyager.
Yeah. And if they didn't work at warp, I mean, any enemy fleet would just be unstoppable, right? It could just fly until it got to where it wanted to go, and there would be no interception. So, you know what? I'm going to accept phasers work at warp.
At this point, it's in TNJ they explicitly say torpedoes only at warp, but it's been all over the place since then. We can it gives go either
us
way.
The famous photon torpedo away from the motion picture.
God.
My favorite Star Trek movie, but still one of the worst scenes. But I think of that one, the problem wasn't that you can't fire phasers at warp. I think the problem was that the way their systems was designed was you couldn't use the torpedo system the phaser system while at warp.
Yeah.
Obviously, you could use the
Hard to
torpedo
say.
system. They did in that movie, but
Yeah.
phasers you couldn't use.
It's all over the place. It's just something that, I thought I was
I'm glad I'm not the only one who was bothered by that, right?
Everyone else listening to the show is like, oh, God.
I had a note about it in my notes, and then I took it out, and it's all like, yeah, let's not talk about this.
No, we're definitely talking about this weird thing that nobody cares about. Yeah.
Fairly.
But what ends the chase is a little maneuver.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like he's got like the, he's doing the victory lap kind of a thing where like everyone's cheering him on. I mean, keep in mind, they're in a battle situation and everyone has chosen, like everyone knows that Shaxs wants to do this. So like the corridors are lined with people cheering on Shaxs as he goes down to eject the warp core. That was freaking amazing.
Can
Good
I
job,
comment on
Shaxs.
something though? I love the fact that 3 seasons now, every time they're in a crisis situation, Shaxs has been like, eject the warp core! Eject the warp core! And they actually played it off. Oh, so great.
He's like the Worf of, you've seen like the YouTube compilation of like Worf suggesting things and him getting shot down by whoever's in command. That's Shaxs.
All like, kill them,
And Shaxs is always about ejecting the warp core, and you know what? He does it and basically saves
that
the
when
day.
he gets to the warp core, the 2 pylons come up with the keys.
Yeah.
But apparently they keep both of the keys in engineering.
Yeah.
The pylons are within
wrong.
arm's reach of each other.
Yeah.
There's no other thing other than inserting the keys and turning it. Like, what is the point of this security system? I mean, like, it is needlessly complex for no reason.
It does really seem that way. But you know what? I guess they have to have someone, it can't just be Shaxs meandering down there and doing it himself. He's got to have
just pressing a button on his console like they did in Voyager.
That's too much. It's not flashy enough. You got to have, gotta have keys.
Got to have your
whatever
victory lap moment.
Yeah,
where he runs
that was great.
to engineering. If you say so. I mean, look about that.
Yeah, thank you. I loved the animation work with the warp core being ejected because the Cerritos' warp core is very, I don't know, sophisticated looking and huge.
Unusually
so when you
shaped.
see it shoot out of the core, yeah.
Because
pretty
Voyager
cool to see it pop
did the
out.
same thing, right? On more than one occasion, they ejected their warp core.
Yes.
Yeah, but I don't know. This one, it's definitely a different
This one
design.
actually blows up. Yeah. Did you notice when Captain Freeman's asking for opinions, Lieutenant Barnes is like, "We need to use the deflector dish as a weapon."
Yes.
I'm like, that's for Best of Both Worlds.
Yeah.
That was pretty fun.
Which I would have expected that to be like Boimler's suggestion, but
Oh yeah,
Boimler can't suggest that because he's supporting Shaxs. So
That's
sads.
right. Wouldn't it suck if they're just like, that didn't work?
Yeah. Did anybody else make any any decent suggestions?
I think Captain Freeman was like, "Can I logic loop them to death?" And Rutherford's like, "No, I built that in as a safeguard."
Yeah, I built a safeguard. Which, like, God,
Why would
Rutherford
you do that?
would make a horrible, or actually an incredible evil villain, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's so prepared for anything he would do to
Well,
shut
he was.
down his AI.
He was the evil villain before
right.
he
That's a good point. He
got
was the
exploded.
villain.
Well, let's talk about the finale when Mariner shows up with all of California versus 3 cities in Texas.
I got a problem with this scene. Were like all these other California classes just like sitting around out in space somewhere, like a few parsecs away, and that they were that close to get to the battle? And like, then why haven't they shown up for any previous battles anywhere in any of the series if they're just all over the place like this?
Yeah.
I mean, like, is it just maybe
they showed up at the speed of plot here.
maybe they were just so inconsequential that like just nobody bothers to call the Cali classes. Like in First Contact, there was Cali classes all over space, but nobody bothered to call them.
Nobody
like
asked
they find
them.
out about it later.
Yeah.
Like Earth was almost assimilated. Why didn't anybody tell us?
We have a phaser array and torpedo
Why
launchers.
didn't
We
they
can
let
help.
us know? Yeah.
I love the callbacks to all the other California class ships.
So they name a ton of them, and I think most of them are just like throwaway names.
You know what? Fuck you, because you know what ship they did announce? The San Jose, and guess what city I live in?
Why
the San
would
Jose.
they name a city the San or why would they name a ship the San Jose class? It's a garbage city filled with garbage people.
Hey.
Who would even...
You know what? Just because there's garbage on the streets doesn't mean that it's a garbage city, all right? There's completely different things.
You know what? Actually, garbage on the streets explains volumes of why there's garbage people in all the homes.
Touche.
Anyways, now that I'm done trashing on your town... So yeah,
I would trash yours, but it's too easy.
Too easy.
Anyway,
my town is famous for nothing. There's absolutely nothing you can trash on it for. So yeah, like every Cali class that we even hear mentioned shows up, which is a problem because like we get some of them, like the San Clemente shows up, but in Crisis Point they specifically mention that the San Clemente doesn't exist. It's not a real ship. Like, what the hell? And then you also get the what is it, the Rubidoux shows up? But the Rubidoux was the one that was destroyed by the energy monsters in Much Ado About Boimler. And it didn't get replaced, and we know this because her captain was assigned a new ship, the Solvang, which was also destroyed in no small parts.
Right.
Terrible captain. 2 ships destroyed, 2 ships commanded.
Yeah,
but then apparently, do they
bad.
just make new ones? Do they have that many Cali classes coming off the line that they just keep reapplying names?
I don't know. I'm worried. Is this some kind of problem now? Like, do we get faked out here or something?
I don't know. But we also get like
Getting worried.
the Sacramento, which I think in no small parts, that is the ship that Mariner and Boimler both applied for a promotion to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And then, you know what? Was it the Inglewood that had the... Oh, yeah, it was the Inglewood with the all-Boolean command staff.
Yes. With Vindrome, Captain Vindrome.
Yes. And then we get the Mercedes, which was captained by the Tellarite in Moist Vessel. But that one was destroyed, too. Why is it back? Like, there's no way that thing came back into service by now. Ugh. Oh, actually, you know what? I guess I can't say anything.
What's going on there?
Friggin' the Cerritos has been refit like 4 or 5 times by now.
I know. It's going to need to be refit again because it just had major structural damage again.
Apparently, the Cali-class ships, they're just so used to these things getting wrecked. They got, like, specialist crews, standby, they're like pit crews, waiting for California to pull into dock. Just change the tires and fluff the pillows.
Yeah.
I don't know what you do on a starship when it's getting revamped. I don't know.
Sure.
But like,
I'm sure there are pillows that need to be fluffed.
Let's see. It was the Oakland that was commanded by Mariner's BFF, who actually gives the speech at the end. She comes back. That was also Much to Do About, according to my notes, it was from Much to Do About Boimler. That was the episode that was from. Oh, man.
I think
I've had too much to drink here.
Yeah, that's your Paloma is going to your head.
Oh, the
Paloma head.
The Alhambra was the mirror Cerritos, where it had the gender swapped crew and the bug Boimler. Oh my god! From Veritas. Awesome. I don't know if I said that. It's from Veritas. If I didn't say it, Veritas.
Yes.
And then, of course, the last one that I think was mentioned in the actual show was the Carlsbad, which was the super jelly crew that were very jealous of the Cerritos crew having all the fun adventures.
Yeah, I'm getting a little concerned. Like I said, that you mentioned all of these like destroyed ships. So, like, is this the next Merced with the same crew or something?
Ooh, or maybe this whole episode was just like a dream sequence, and we're going to start season. What are we on 4 now? With it 4. Was all a dream. Woo!
Oh boy, they're going to pull that thing.
I hope so.
I hope they don't.
I hope so.
Oh god. Cool. Speaking about all of those California class ships in the battle sequence, we get a kind of fleeting looks at a lot of the other ships.
Oh, they all have different paint jobs.
It's
not just the colors; they also have different paint jobs. I love it.
So I wonder what those all mean. And this is also lends it towards being more like something else is going on here because all of these people that have destroyed ships are showing up. So
yeah, you know what though, I like the different paint jobs. I think it's very snazzy looking.
It was cool. I liked it. Yeah, I want to take a closer look. Maybe we can do that another ships episode where we can look a bit more closely at those paint jobs.
Yeah, we'll have to do that. Maybe
kind of neat, but also hooray, San Jose! I hope it's not a fake.
No, I mean it was a great scene. A little ridiculous, maybe a little contrived.
Yeah.
But I couldn't help but like it.
Yeah. It was fun. It was a feel-good ending for sure.
Yeah. I'm surprised you're not bitching about the ship to the rescue scene again. Every episode, ship to the rescue.
I thought
ship
it.
To the rescue.
At least it's a fleet to the rescue this time. It's not just one hero ship.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah. It's just enough change to the trope to make me happy. It doesn't take much, Mike McMahon. It doesn't take much.
Yeah, so, the whole Chekhov's gun wasn't enough for you? Thanks, buddy.
No, not at all. Let's talk about a certain character popping up right at the end.
Yeah,
your favorite and the internet's favorite. I think we should, because the internet cares about her a lot. There's a big Talin fan base out there.
Pandering, McMahon.
She barely appears, just enough to have a little interaction with Tendi there. One thing I really liked, though, we get the return of the provisional officer rank pips thing that we saw in Voyager.
And I feel like it's been mentioned in previous episodes where there were people who did not go through the academy in Starfleet. We know it gets mentioned in Lower Decks as well, but I feel like this has come up before, because the assumption is that Talin has gone to the Vulcan Science Academy because she served on a Vulcan ship.
Right.
So I feel like this has come up before, where somebody else with some other service, from a Federation member world, transfers over directly without visiting the Academy, which works pretty well. And I hope they do talk about it at some point. I think it would be great to do an entire Comedy of Errors episode where, she's never actually been to Starfleet and hasn't spent much time around any other aliens or aboard alien vessels. So she just keeps making all these just ridiculous faux pas, or is always upset at what other people are doing because it's normal on a, multicultural vessel versus a all Romulan, all Vulcan vessel.
Same thing.
Same thing.
I'm curious to see if the Talin device will work on a Starfleet ship. Because, before she could play off of all these other non-emotional Vulcans. Yeah. So I'm wondering if it's going to be as effective. And I've
said it before, and I just don't want to be a wet blanket about this. I just don't know, there's a lot that they can do, right? Now doing the whole other direction of juxtaposing her as the wet blanket versus her as the ridiculous emotional character,
out of control.
Yeah. And honestly, a lot of the talk on the net is that pairing her up with Tendi was such a genius idea, and I'm like, what, it actually is a pretty good idea. I think that pairing works pretty well versus any of the other characters.
Yeah, totally, especially as Tendi ascends to the senior science officer role.
And she is the one who is the most prone to emotional outbursts. And she's so into everything, that pairing is going to lead to a lot of conflict. I think it'll be way better than the whole conflict she would have had with Mariner doing her whole, I don't follow the rules thing.
Yeah.
Oh, man, what if she becomes the reverse Mariner, where Talin doesn't follow the rules, but she doesn't follow the rules because she thinks not because she's I'm a rebel, but she does them because the way that Starfleet does them doesn't seem logical to her. That would be a great gag for I could easily sustain her character through a season. Oh my god, especially if everybody is always comparing Talin and Mariner. Oh yeah, she's a rebel who does things her own way, just like you, Mariner, and Mariner is always cheesed off by it.
Just gets really upset.
That could actually work. I could see that as a great season-long arc.
Oh yeah, totally. That'd be fun. I wonder if she's going to get she's going to be more of the main crew, or is she going to be relegated to the Kayshawn, gets a couple lines every couple episodes type role.
Gets a few episodes when they first show up, and occasionally are the B-man in somebody else's story, but mostly it's just background after, a few episodes. Yeah, I can see that.
I know it's a tough thing. So popular. You look at the Lower Decks subreddit; it's filled with Talin.
Really got it. But here's the real problem: if she does join the main Lower Deck group, they're no longer going to be the Warp Core 4. What are we going to call them now? The Phaser 5 or something?
What rhymes with 5?
Phaser 5.
That doesn't rhyme.
Phaser 5? It's not rhyming, it's alliteration.
Well, sure.
What's wrong with alliteration?
Whatever
You got
helps
a
you sleep
problem
at
with
night.
alliteration, buddy? Damn it, Stavros, you uncultured fuck. Jesus.
Where does my unculturedness end? That's the question of the evening. I think we've covered almost everything. Anything else before we go to final thoughts?
Oh, there was one more moment that I do want to call out, and that is
Okay.
I love the whole when Tendi is talking about, derailing them for her not sentient microorganisms. There's a great moment where Rutherford is hyper-focused on, his analyzing the Aledo code. And he's all like, yeah, sure, you did the right thing. Like, not even paying attention. I love that they're continuing the trope of, like, when the Warp Core 4 is into something, they're just super oblivious about anything else that's going on. It's just fantastic scene. Yeah.
That was fun. At least he didn't, he paid attention enough to give her a good response. So there is that. Let's go to final thoughts. I can go first. I love this episode. Yeah. I loved it. We get something with Rutherford, my boy Rutherford, get that conspiracy thing resolved. We get a cool fight with the autonomous ships. We resolve the Mariner being out. We get my hometown of San Jose mentioned. Even a little Tallinn in there. Hard to go wrong with this episode, I felt like. Had a little of everything that I liked. So I think this is one of the top episodes this season, at least for me. I'm gonna have to go back and look at all of these episodes too to see what the top episode was. But it's got a little bit of everything. Some good jokes in there too. The Badmiral gets vaporized horribly. So
I would say that I found the episode. It was cliched and predictable and reasserts the status quo very rapidly. It pays way too much attention to fan service. Wow. It almost is like it jumps the shark. Yeah, 100%.
It sounds like you really loved it.
Great fucking episode. This season's been kind of like all over the place, but when it's hitting, it's really hitting. You know what though? I mean, even the bad episodes this season have not been like bad, right? Even the only one that I can really call out that was like I wasn't really on board for that much was the mathematically perfect redemption. But everything else, just like every episode really hit for me. I really enjoyed it. And it does that same thing that I loved throughout, all of the seasons so far, where it lets the episode revel in nostalgia while also presenting a story that stands on its own. Really, the only problem with this episode 100%. Is it's a story that's been done a million times in Star Trek, and it doesn't spend enough time on the uniqueness it brings to it, right? Yeah.
It's depending on the Rutherford connection and presumably future badge stuff to really make it
Buenamigo's, motivations for why he did this, right? And it just doesn't spend enough time on that, and the scenes that happen in the episode kind of undermine his argument. He just seems like a bad guy from the get-go, which he should have never made it to Admiral then, but I digress.
Yeah, Starfleet's got some kind of criteria of Admiral promotion that's not really.
I mean, it depends. If their goal is to promote evil admirals, then it's working great. You see a turtle lying on its back. You don't flip it over. Why don't you flip it over? I fucking hate turtles.
That's literally the test.
Congratulations, you're an admiral.
Well done. Well, you know what? My canned Paloma is out, so...
But I'm all out of drink ideas at this point. So I think since this season is also out of episodes, we'll call it a night. And we'll be doing this again next season. In the interim, we'll be doing more episodes about things.
Yeah.
So till then, you hit us up on Twitter at Lower Dorks and tell us what you'd like us to do for episodes.
Yes. If you have an idea what you want to do,
we might do your episode.
Yeah,
because community involvement is something that means a lot to us here at Lower Dorks. And not because we are completely out of ideas. Right, Stavros?
I'm sorry. I have no idea what you're talking about.